A brown recluse spider spun a very impressive web outside my window overnight, but how do I tell it politely that it should leave?
Ugh. I don't understand people who refrigerate their apples. Who are you and why do you torture yourself?
Heather, I'm sorry I have to say this, but I refrigerate my apples. But people who refrigerate their avocados, what in the heck? I don't know what to do with you.
Who knew increasing the font size on my phone would be a total fucking revelation?
Oh, I hear that, sister. Have such a good day. Hello, world, and welcome to Have Such a Good Day, the show that wants you to do just this.
Episode 123. Not to be confused with 3, 2, 1 contact. It's the secret. It's the moment.
Is the question.
When everything happens.
Let's make contact.
No, instead, this is the show that unpacks the absurdity of everyday life for your entertainment. And man, it's been a minute, Sarah. How is everybody doing out there?
Yeah, it really has. If you are a regular listener to the show, you're kind of like, what? Did we take a big break? Heather and I had recorded a couple of episodes, pre-recorded a couple of episodes that we've been running the last couple of weeks because we didn't want to leave anybody in the dark. But and you might have sort of noticed that, maybe they weren't, as live as they would have been otherwise. Mm-hmm. Show wasn't live, but you know what I mean. And yeah, I've had some health issues, and everyone's life is chaotic, and it's just been a big old cluster F. But we're recording the show a little bit later in the week than we normally do, and we're getting back in the saddle, everybody, and we really appreciate everybody just hanging in there and letting us figure out calendar-ish.
We have the best crew. Yeah. You guys are the best crew, and I have to tell all y'all, because you can't see Sarah, but she's looking pretty fine and unscathed.
Thanks,
she looks really good. She doesn't look any different to me at all.
You should see my boobs. I'm like, I could literally show you right now. No one else can see, but
I would love to see them. But you're like part Bionic now. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I honestly,
it's kind of cool.
I'm not a person who would, we'd kind of get into this later in the show, but I'm not a person who would have gotten breast implants. I just wouldn't have done it. It's just a thing that even if I thought about it, I just wouldn't have gone through with. I don't know. It's expensive, and who cares? But I had to. Well, I didn't have to, but I did, and it's kind of crazy. I do feel a little bionic.
Yeah,
actually.
It's kind of a trip. I mean, I can't relate. I think that it would be hard to relate unless you did it yourself, but it's kind of a neat concept in a way. I mean, flesh is not forever, and maybe it's best that we all go bionic.
yeah, something like that.
I speak the truth on this show. I can't help myself.
We do try to speak the truth as much as possible. The point is that life sucks and is hard. And
this is hence the show. Why we created the show in the first place.
We can't stop it. It's just, it sucks and is hard. And so why not try to have a little fun while we all try to make a little sense of this life together.
So much fun.
Together.
Yes, that is very well put, Sarah. Speaking of cold apples on the teeth, as I mentioned at the top of the show, you might be wondering why I don't like my apples to be refrigerated.
You did mention that. I was wondering what is your problem with apples in the fridge?
There's something. So my boyfriend, he'll get like 4 apples and put them all in the refrigerator, and they're annoying too because then they roll around and they fall. Like they just bug me. It's just like one of those like stupid domestic pet peeves. Yeah. And to me, it's like nails on a chalkboard. When I open the refrigerator and I see a cold apple, it makes my teeth hurt. I do not like coldness on my teeth. They're very sensitive. But the funny thing is, just today before the show, when I was like writing scripts, I was listening to NPR, and they had like a famous chef on talking about like holiday pies and whatnot. And I swear to God, I had already written my top of the show stuff, and this woman says that she literally says that it's better to refrigerate your apples because they don't like to be next to bananas and avocados in a fruit basket because it encourages them to bruise or something like that. They go older faster, which just happened to my apples in my basket that I just bought at the farmer's market, and they're like bad already. I'm like, what the heck? So, Sarah, it just proves that you learn new things every day in this
You
crazy
do.
life.
You do. Growing up in Sebastopol, California, apple capital of the U.S., by the way, I know a lot about apples, and I'm not gonna, I like what I like. I like a good apple. You might like what you like, and there are certain apples that I like a lot more than others. Whatever. We won't get into that. But an apple, sort of like a lemon. If you refrigerate an apple, that apple can last a while. And I'm not like
Yep.
buying apples and being like, I don't want to eat this apple for a month. Like, that's not why I buy them. But sometimes you just are sort of like, I'm not in the mood today, or I have other stuff that's like, I don't know, going bad faster and, whatever. You got to refrigerate those apples, Heather.
Man, I think I'm going to have to. What I'll do is maybe I'll start doing it, and I won't tell anyone. I'll just tell you guys, and because I'm kind of embarrassed now. But maybe I'll just like cut it in little pieces so that it doesn't like touch my teeth. I think it's the biting into the apple as a whole. Like, I don't mind a chilled piece of apple.
Yeah,
It's
you don't
like
have
the
to eat
biting
an apple
into it.
whole.
Yeah,
There's so
that's
many
true.
different ways you can do it. I mean, I like to eat apples that way, but I also will an apple in the afternoon, like right after the show, I will probably have an apple. And I dip
It's a
it
good
in all
afternoon
sorts of weird
snack.
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
the
I'm sure you
apples,
do.
You, yeah.
You and your dips.
I love a good dip. Love a good apple dip. You can dip an apple in almost anything.
Pretty much.
Hear this, internet.
An apple's a good afternoon snack, and an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And I kind of believe that. I feel like during the summer when all the apples are growing in my yard, I mean, I'll eat at least 2 apples a day because I just like walk around. I'll just pick an apple. Why not? It's a refreshing snack, and I just feel healthier. There's something to say for that. I believe.
Yeah, it's one of the things. I know some people are on, like the keto diet is very popular these days. And that is, I'm not doing that. So I'm certainly not an authority, but I know that it's, I know that part of it is to cut down on all sugars.
Yeah.
And that includes fructose and pectin and, stuff that apples have. And I'm just like, man, I can't get on any diet where I can't eat an apple. Come on.
I know.
It's
I don't
good
know.
for
I'm just,
ya.
again, I've said this before. I'm just not a diet person. I'm just somebody who tries to eat nutritious, tasty food throughout the week. And I mean, I indulge when I want to indulge, but I don't like overindulge like all the time. I might overindulge once a week or something, but and I let myself eat what I want. But I feel like the diet thing almost makes you want to binge or, I don't know, purge if that's what you're into. But yeah, I don't know. I think having healthy habits is probably a better way to go because that way you don't cheat or want to cheat, or have that temptation to be bad.
And everybody's different. I mean,
Everybody's different. Exactly.
I have all sorts of weird, food temptations where it's like, like I can indulge. And then an hour later, I'm like, God, what did I do? But
That's what happened to me last night. I found a new box of cookies because I'm always on the search for like, sometimes I'll go through a phase where I'll eat, my animal cookies were like a thing for a while, and I'll do it for like months, where I have my bowl of animal cookies after dinner. And then I'm like, I am so sick of these. I have got to get something else. Like it just burnt out, And so I'm like on the search for like some interesting new cookie I haven't tried. And, you go through some duds. You buy stuff and you're like, I won't buy this again. And I did. I went through duds, but I found some good ones recently. They're made from almond flour and they don't have as much sugar, but they're actually really good and crunchy. I'll buy them again. I would. I will actually, probably tomorrow. I'm going to buy another box because I polished them off last night and I felt ill. I was like, because I ate too many of them. I mean, they're definitely more nutritious cookies, but I definitely had too many.
Yeah, I mean, you're still eating cookies.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I mean, it's not like we're like eating vitamins here, everybody.
It's actually funny because my sister is here and she always makes us Rice Krispie treats. That's just like her thing. I don't know. She's not much of a cook, but Rice Krispie treats have got to be the easiest dessert or food to make because you just melt butter with marshmallows and cereal and that's it. And it's done. But we ended up getting like these kind of fancy marshmallows that are like vegan or whatever. I don't know. And some like brown rice, like
I
crispy
actually don't know what marshmallows
rice.
are made of.
They're
Regularly.
gelatin. I think it's the gelatin. It wasn't even
Oh,
that it was
okay.
vegan. It's just like they were better quality. And it did change the texture of the Rice Krispie treats, but it was better because it was like, it can be just too sugary for me. Like the original recipe with the regular marshmallows is just too sugary. So anyway, I like to improvise with these things because you're still getting a sweet snack. It just doesn't have to be like overly sweet.
Yeah, there was a I obviously been a little off the grid, recovering from surgery, and a lot of people. I was staying with my mom for like the last 3 weeks, and I'm actually not really supposed to be home.
I was
right
going to
now.
say it was so quick.
Well, there are just a lot of reasons that it just sort of needed to happen. I got a sick cat, and she needed to be at her own house, and
Yeah.
it just when it rains, it pours.
Yep.
But when I was at my mom's house, lots of people were sending, flowers and snacks and just really nice stuff. You were one of those people, Heather. And some of you listening, I think you sent stuff as well. I sometimes sometimes I would get a box and my mom would be like, "Who's so and so?" And I'm like, "I don't know." But let's eat it.
Yeah, a lot of the patrons were asking, "What can I send Sarah?" Super sweet. I won't mention all your names, but a lot of them sort of
and
sidebarred me.
I appreciate that. And sometimes it can be a little overwhelming where you're like, "Oh no, we have to put this stuff somewhere." But one of the sort of gifts was, it's hard to explain. This is actually a company that I work with, and they had sent me like a gift card to this soup website. Well, I mean, like a not just a website. I mean, it's just
There's soup in it.
people who make soup, but you go and it's sort of like it's all very gift baskety oriented.
Yeah,
So
totally.
even though I was ordering it for myself, it would be something where it would be like, oh, you could buy somebody Thanksgiving dinner, or sort of like a rest and recovery type of a thing where like it's not really a basket, it's just
I know what you
soup
mean.
and like some dinner rolls and whatever. Anyway, I had never heard of this company before, and so I'm looking at it, I'm saying to my mom, "What do you think? Like, what kind of soup should we get?" And she's like, "Whatever you want." And I got like this chicken noodle soup, which was so good. I'm really a fan of chicken noodle soup when done right is just what's better.
It's the best.
It's just so good. And it was so much soup, but they also like made you like get little sides. So it was like, yes, dinner rolls. And then there was like, it was like also cookies. Like, what kind of cookies do you want? So I got, what are the, now I can't remember the name of the
Snickerdoodle.
cookies. Yes. Snickerdoodles.
Oh.
Thank you. You're reading my mind. So I was like, should we get Snickerdoodles? My mom's like, I don't care, whatever. And so it ended up coming to the house, and it's like there's soup, there's dinner rolls, there's Snickerdoodles, and like we both looked at each other and we're like, let's eat the cookies. And they were so good. Oh my God. I don't even, like, whoever made that Snickerdoodle, I salute you, sir or madam, because boy, were they good. And it was like, my mom at one point was like, she was like, "Hey, do you mind if I eat one of the Snickerdoodles?" And it was like 11 a.m.
You're like,
and I'm
"No."
Like, why are you asking me that? Like, it's your house. And she's like, "Well, but it was like, a gift for you." And I'm like, "Mom, eat the Snickerdoodle." She
Just be like, "Mom, yupper doodle, eat the Snickerdoodle. Come on now."
Eat it. But yeah, so I have been, I was resting at my mother's house because, and just real quick, if you're like, what? Like, what happened to you? Like, I had to get a bilateral mastectomy, which is a double mastectomy for anybody who's like, what's that mean? Yeah, like, they're gone. The twins are gone. I got new ones. But it's pretty major surgery. And I couldn't be home. Well, first of all, I couldn't, like, lift my arms or
Shower.
lift anything or shower. I mean, barely go to the bathroom. I'll save you the details, but you can kind of imagine, when you can't use your arms, or a lot of things you can't really do very well. And it was, at first, I'm way better now. At first it was, it was tough.
Yeah.
And I wanted to take it really seriously, and the plastic surgeon had said to me, do not, I mean, trust me, even if you feel okay, like one tear and
man.
you're back in surgery kind of thing. Like
Yikes.
you gotta take this really seriously. So I definitely did as much as possible.
That must have felt weird, like not lifting your arms after a while. Like you probably felt really stagnant.
Yeah, I still do. I mean, even though I can use them again, it's like they're, your muscles atrophy. Is that
Yeah.
the word for it?
Yeah,
Where it's
atrophy.
like they're. I mean, it'd be so much worse if it was like a year that I didn't use my arms. It was only a few weeks, but it's still, I got to go to physical therapy, and there's all sorts of stuff of getting back into the game as it were. But part of that, being at my mom's, was that I wasn't here at my house. And a big part of that is because my house, as I've mentioned on the show before, I'm up a hill. My, even from like the place that you park to go to my front door is up a flight of stairs. There's a lot of kind of moving around and sort of exercise just being here.
Yeah.
And I got a dog, walking the dog, all that stuff was like off the table.
Yeah.
So I wasn't here. It just wasn't the right place for me. And the Airbnb factor of all of this is that it's actually November has been pretty slow until Thanksgiving, so I have a bit of a respite. But when I left, there was a family who was here about a week, Airbnb, and I had said to them, hey, so I'm not going to be here at all during your entire stay. And that's actually never happened. I've definitely come and gone when people were here, and they don't need me 24/7 or anything. In fact, if all goes well, they don't need me at all. But I've never just not been here for check-in or check-out or anything. This was the first time. And I was a little worried about it, even though I knew if something bad happens, like, I can't help you. I can't physically help anything. I could, maybe potentially help in some other way, but, I'm not going to be at the house. If a tree falls over, I'm not going to help you.
Yeah.
And sure enough, Heather, there was like a once in 100-year storm.
Oh my God.
In California. I'm sure you got some of it up in your neck of the woods.
Did you flood the house or did something like that with the rain?
No, the house didn't flood, but it was an extreme rain, wind, power goes out, trees fall over, whole thing. Luckily, our generator is in business, so the power did go out, but they got, the generator got working. There was something wrong with the Wi-Fi, and I was like, I don't know what to tell you, and whatever. But this family that was staying here, they were pretty communicative to me, and I mean, this all kind of started right after I got out of the hospital.
Oh no! And you were you were always the one that they had to contact even during your surgery?
When you're on Airbnb, it's like...
Yeah, it's true. It's your account. Yeah, I know that makes sense.
Yeah, like the landlord is not... They're not unaware, but it was like, that's sort of my job.
You're never free.
I had told everybody involved, guests, landlord, everybody, pool guy, all the people, like, I will not be there. And if you call me, I will not answer. Like, I am fully in bed, you know, like recovering from surgery. Sorry, like, best of luck. And sure enough, huge storm is just insane. And, I got all these messages from the people that were staying here, like, oh, well, like, it's raining so hard, we're all stuck in the house, but like one of the fireplaces isn't working. Where I'm like, yeah, I don't know. They're all gas fireplaces. Where I'm like, I don't know, maybe you need to like replace the batteries. Well, are there batteries at the house? And I'm like, no, there aren't. There aren't batteries at the house? No, there aren't. Yeah, that's probably something that I could have like stashed in a drawer, but I didn't know we were going to have like storm of the century before I went to the hospital. Like, where I'm like, if you want to buy batteries, we will 100% pay you back. Let me know. Never heard about it again. You know how it is with people that are, staying at the house. It was just one thing after another. A tree fell on the main gate. Thankfully, grace of God, The gate was stuck open rather than closed. Because when a gate is stuck closed, that's like a fire hazard
Oh,
and like
yeah.
extremely scary, or just a hazard, really. You know, you can't get out. It was stuck open. The tree fell on it while it was open. I don't know. I wasn't here. I don't really know what happened. But you know, so they were like, yeah, the gate's stuck open, and I'm like, listen, if it doesn't bother you, let's just leave it. And you know, we have to have a guy come out like with a chainsaw to like pull, you know, like it's a tree.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
it has to be cut into pieces. You don't just like move it out of the way. It's a big deal. I'm not gonna do it. And so that all happened. Anyway, long story short, very long story. Um, they left, and they left us a nice review, and that was great, you know, because I was a little stressed out, you know, because I feel like
Sure.
I do try my very best to be a good property manager. And when I'm not there and I don't really know what's going on and I can't help, it's pretty limited, you know, how I can help anybody. And my mom and I had come to the house. You know, she drove me out here. I needed to get a couple of things in the house, you know, and we wanted to look at this tree damage. So we knew that, you know, the house had been, you know, the whole property had been vacated, blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, yeah, it was like, it was major. It was major. And I also noticed that one of my recycling bins has gone missing.
Oh my God, the ghost is back.
Well, sort of, yeah. And the landlord had been here before, you know, this trip of mine. And I had said to him, hey, you know, please bring the bins down to the street, you know, after the guests have left. Please bring, you know, because I'm not going to be able to do it and I'm not going to be there. But like, they're probably overflowing, right? Like when you have, you know, a big old family, it's like you got to take your trash out. And I said, when I was at the house, I was like, did you take down 3 bins? Because it's 1 garbage, 2 recycling, and there's 1 compost, but we don't take that down all the time. It depends on what's in there. And I'm like, yeah, I only see a garbage and 1 recycling. And he was like, and I thought that was weird too. I only saw the 1 recycling. And I'm like, why didn't you just say anything to me? That's extremely weird. Like, what happened to the other recycling bin? No one knows. I think it was stolen. I don't know why anybody would steal a recycling bin, but apparently it has been stolen. So that's just a thing that now we have to like buy another recycling bin or something.
If any of you out there know or have any details on this crime, please email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com.
Please do. Yes, we're looking for the perp. So Heather, it's been when I say it's been a day, it's been a day, it's been a week, it's been a year. But did you have any standout days in the last week?
Yeah, I thought, well, yeah, I did. I would say, other than constantly grappling with the cruel march of time, I was going to give like a little Reader's Digest update from the Northlands, just because, you know, it's been a minute, a lot's happened. I'm like, oh, like it's hard to pick, you know, the best moment or whatever. But I will say the highlight of the recent weeks was my trip to LA, which I never really talked about. I guess it was super rad. Saw my people, hiked the canyons, ate tacos. It was inspiring, all the things. And I love and miss the desert. And coming back north, it was interesting because it's the polar opposite. There's a lot of humidity up here. And then you have like mildew, and then you have to have a dehumidifier, which I ran and got one right when I got back, because I went from the desert with like massively chapped lips. Like I had like the worst chapped lips of like my life. I think it was because I came from a very moist place, stayed in the desert for a couple weeks. I mean, it was like painful. So I was like glad to get home and like have like moisture on my skin and everything. But then my house started to smell mildewy. So I'm like, oh, geez. You know, it's like you live in a place like LA and you need to get like an air purifier, you know, and you need to help encourage those negative ions or whatever. And then you come up to, you know, I don't know, the forest, and you need a dehumidifier. I mean, you can't win. But yeah, I think, you know, I would say the most standout thing since I've been back is indulging in fires in the fireplace. Like every night, I am telling you, I remember having a fireplace when I was a kid, And I do remember that. And I remember I could kind of draw it out because I like remember what it looked like and everything. And it was brick and, you know, but I don't like remember like the ambiance or anything, but it's like I haven't had a fireplace most of my whole adult life. And even if I did, which I probably did in San Francisco in one of those old apartments, but I probably never made fires because you weren't allowed. But it's so decadent and so nice. And so it's been chilly up here. We've been making fires like almost every night. And it's just, sometimes I just want to like sit there and twiddle my thumbs and watch the fire. Like I don't even have to do anything. It's so wonderful. So I would say that's like a big highlight in my life these days. And, you know, kind of getting back on my kind of dance yoga classes, like sort of an hour of midday partying, like a couple times a week. It's like the closest I get to like having a real good time.
Yeah.
But in general, I'm kind of keeping the real estate empire afloat, you know, and it's really feels more and more like this live action Monopoly game, but it's definitely not as fun as like the actual game, the board game. But the not so fun is, you know, finding out that I have to do an estate tax return after I finished 2020 taxes and right before I have to do 2021 taxes. So I would say that's maybe my least favorite thing. But I'll tell you one little funny bit. Because we had like an Airbnb folly show for you, it was our last episode. Sarah and I could compile, you know, so many great anecdotes. I mean, we gave you a few in that episode, but there's obviously so many more. I got probably the weirdest Airbnb request I've kind of ever had this entire time. A guest called ahead of her trip a couple days to make sure that there was a plunger in the bathroom. So I will leave you with that,
Like a
my
toilet
friends.
plunger.
A toilet plunger. Didn't
Yeah.
explain why. And I made sure that there was one and never really heard why.
About
I thought it was
again.
interesting. I had,
I
I
mean,
jumped to some
maybe-
conclusions, but
Maybe there was an incident in the past where there wasn't a plunger and they were like, well, we're not doing that again. But you figure, I mean, I would think it was, you sort of don't think about plungers until you need one, right? But it would
Yeah.
be weird to me if a rental didn't have a plunger.
this is true.
You expect them to have a plunger.
Especially where like the septic is like there's a septic tank and like sometimes in the country you have to be used to the fact that the septic is sensitive. It's not like the city
Right.
where it's like this high powered machine, you know, going
Yeah.
underground. So maybe that's part of it. I mean, maybe they have stomach problems. I don't know, but it's a total mystery. But I thought that was actually very amusing. It made my mind go places. If you have any thoughts, let us know. Hi at havesuchagoodday.com.
Yeah, seriously. Have you had a plunger episode? Are you pro plunger? Let us know.
You know, it's funny.
Yeah.
We talk about all the things that we talk about on the show because we've done over 100 episodes at this point. And I do recall we have said the word plunger many times on the show. And I remember Sarah talking about having to go get a plunger in an emergency situation at a hardware
it was
store
in,
at some
in
point.
my own bathroom. Yeah, and it was an emergency. You know, and I have like state of the art plunger. I'm not even kidding, guys. Listen, I don't want to use the plunger because when you have to use a plunger, it means something has gone wrong. However, it is an aggressive plunger. It looks like an accordion. It's so great. It's navy blue.
Oh,
I
I know
actually
which
love
one
it.
you have. Yeah.
I love
it's like
it.
really cool looking. It's
Yeah,
like an
like
accordion.
I really do love my plunger because I'm like, step aside. I got this.
Well, why don't
it
you marry your
works.
plunger then?
I
If you love it
might.
so much.
I might. Yeah, I might do that. So I mentioned that I was staying at my mom's, and my mom is the most lovely woman in the world, and
She is.
it's just
I would concur.
thanks. Yeah, it was tough. My dog Otis was staying with another friend of mine for almost 3 weeks. In about an hour away from where we are, a little bit less. So he was fine for a while. He's now doing like doggy daycare during the day, because again, like I can't walk him and we can't go on hikes, we can't jog, none of that stuff. But what I'm doing now with him is in the morning I drop him off at daycare and I pick him up kind of right around when the sun goes down, which is like 5 o'clock now. Boo, standard time, hate you. And so that's happening. My cat Lucy is elderly. She's 14, and she took a pretty bad turn when I was at my mom's about 2 weeks into my recovery. And it's a really long story, and I would love to tell you all about it another time, but it was extremely touch and go to the point where I actually took her to the vet to put her down. I was at the vet. I mean, that's what was happening, like snot everywhere. I'm bawling my eyes out, kind of thing. And she had been in the ICU at the vet hospital for about a week. And, and everyone kept saying, like, how you doing? And I'm like, terrible, my cat is sick. And they're like, but how are you doing? I'm like, who cares about me? My cat is sick. Just one of those things where it's like, the timing was so incredibly bad, that like, you ever have that feeling where you kind of look in the mirror and you're like, I don't know what's going on here.
Totally. Oh,
but like,
all the time.
It's so bad that like, I can't even really like react.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, that's kind of how I was until just a few days ago. Anyway, so that was just mayhem, it was mayhem. And having kind of all that happen and just to be like, I am super like indisposed and I can't do anything, was really tough. But one of the nice things about being on this, what I like to call the forced staycation, hanging out in my mom's guest bedroom, was just like there was definitely a sense of like, okay, I can't do anything, and all this stuff is going wrong, but like we're dealing. And all I can really do is wake up in the morning, have breakfast, have lunch, have dinner, watch some TV, and go to bed. That's all I did. Yeah. And, of course I'm like on the internet and like trying to like keep up on life, but pretty checked out, in the grand scheme of things. And it was like, in a weird way, I mean, even though it's like I'm in pain, I'm taking all this medication, my animals are dying, like it's just like a nightmare. There was something really comforting, about my mom being like, do you want a salad? And I'm like, yes, please. And then like she'd give me a salad and I'd eat it, Hey, do you want some banana bread? Yes, please.
Hell yes.
And we watched, cooking shows and football and,
Aww.
And then I'd go into the bedroom and I had, I have my little apps. So I watch my own stuff. Some of the stuff I watch, my mom is not that keen on, like Married at First Sight and stuff. But so it was like, honestly, like I would go to bed at 10, sometimes a little earlier, and I'd wake up at like 7:30, and be like, wow, I slept for like 9 hours again. Wow, that's crazy. Like maybe a little even more than that. Like, okay, I have to get up and pee. But it was like, it was so like, my world was so small. And listen, if you're recovering from, something like that and you have a lot of stuff going on, it's like, I'm sugarcoating like how horrible it kind of was. But there was something that I held on to the fact that like I just couldn't do shit. Like I just kind of had to like ride it out, and there was some comfort in that. And I actually felt like I was more well rested than I've been like ever.
That's amazing. Yeah, and it wasn't that long. Like, I mean, I'm impressed with I've told you this before. I'm impressed with your recovery. I mean, 3 weeks. I mean, that's not that bad. Like in terms of being laid up, I guess. I had another friend who had some surgery, and like it was like a way longer process than that. So that's very positive.
Yeah. Everybody's different, and nobody's journey is the same.
Nope.
And I'm just just one person with anecdotes, but I really do. I feel like, I don't know, people kind of, how people will say like, well, this is, really important that you journal all of this. Like people in their journaling, which I'm like, is that like a diary? Like it's a diary, right? It's the same thing. But, and I think that's super great. And I used to write a lot. I don't really
You
write
did.
things anymore. And I don't know why. I just don't
Things change.
want to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you.
But people kind of, they keep saying, I hope you're journaling all of this. This is something that you're gonna be glad that you did at some point later on. And I'm kind of like, I think that if it could help someone else later on, then maybe you're right. I don't really want to look back. It's like, I don't want to relive this. I want this to be over.
Yeah.
And I think that's a little bit of, like you saying like, wow, you like bounce back really fast. It's like, it's not that easy.
No,
But
of course
I,
not. You
but
had to
I,
live
like,
with it like every moment for 3 weeks,
Yeah.
which is probably felt a lot longer.
But on the inside, it's like, yes, I want things to go back to normal. Like it's crazy how you sort of lose grip on a lot of stuff. Just simple things, like,
Yep.
oh, I'm just gonna like go to the grocery store and like have some autonomy for a little while. Like, no, can't do it. Can't drive, can't walk, can't pick up things. Like, all right, I'll just do that later. Anyway, so slowly on the mend, but there's some silver lining. There were things that I enjoyed about the whole experience.
And like it's
you know?
behind you now, like you're just going to be on the mend and every day is probably going to be better.
Yeah,
And hopefully it'll
and
be
it
the same
is.
for Lucy,
It is.
the cat.
Oh gosh. Yeah, she is, she was like full on near death about 4 days ago. I took her to the vet. Like I mean, it was going to be Rainbow Bridge Day. And the vet, this is sort of, I mean, I'm going a little, off the rails on our topics here, but one of the vets, because she had been in the hospital for like a week, and it's a 24-hour hospital. So it's like during weekdays, there's certain vets that you would talk to, but then like they're not going to be there overnight. It's going to be a different vet, and those vets I never really spoke to because they didn't call me in the middle of the night. But then you never really knew who was going to check in with you, in the morning, like 10 a.m. type thing. But one of the vets, I kind of got to know her. We spoke on the phone, and she was there that day when I brought Lucy in. And she was like, well, obviously, it's your decision and, we'll support you. But I think you're jumping the gun here. I think you need to give her a little bit more time. Because Lucy had surgery as well. They had to open up her intestines. It's just like, it's a whole thing.
Such a crazy
Anyway,
coincidence.
story for another time. Yeah, it's like, it's too much. I'll cry if I even talk about it too
Aw.
much. But
It's like sympathetic, like illness or something.
yeah, right.
Aw.
But, and it's sort of like, you're in the vet, I'm already like crying, sobbing, where I'm like, yo, really? Like, am I okay? We're not gonna do this. We're just gonna put you back in the cat carrier and take you home, kind of thing. Like, oh my gosh, like it was so hard to get here.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
so
I
many
mean,
things had to
so-
happen in order to get here. And yeah, she's upstairs right now doing her thing, pooping all over
Aw.
everything. Yeah, she's
She's a real survivor, that one.
she's not well, but
Yeah.
she's better.
Aw.
And I will keep everyone who cares about these sorts of things updated.
You
and
know I
even if you
care.
don't, I'll keep you updated.
I have a
anyway.
long history with Lucy. I mean, I took care of
Yeah,
them a lot when Sarah was out of town, and so I have
Yeah.
it's high stakes for me. I want to know she's going to be okay, but yeah,
She's doing
hopefully
good.
she'll bounce back.
She's a little fighter. We're gonna take it day by day, hour by hour.
Good. And I guess that's all we can do right now. But you were able to go into the vet because I still can't do that. I still have to wait in the car because of COVID.
Yeah, no, they let you in now. I mean, you obviously have to wear a mask, but it's they've, at least around here.
Well,
it's
maybe
not-
they
it's not the-
started. I haven't been there
not
for a
the same
while,
thing.
so okay, good.
Yeah.
That's good to know. It's funny because I won't even get into it. I'm going to switch gears and I want to talk a little bit about. I know Sarah, you're going to have something to contribute on this, but
Okay.
the good and the bad of somebody else making plans for your birthday where they're like, oh, no, I've already got a plan. Like, and they don't tell you, and they're like working on this plan. I mean, as most of you know, I dread my birthday, but maybe not as much as you, Sarah. But I also put a lot of pressure on myself to have a good birthday because I think it's an important day, and I try to make it important for other people when they have birthdays because it's the day you were born and it's very significant and blah, blah, blah. But this year is sort of different for some reason, which I think is strange because it's been a hard couple years in a lot of ways, but I'm not really dreading it as much this year as I have in previous years. And I don't know, maybe I've grown up a little. I'm not really sure. But when I kind of go deep and ask myself like what I want to do honestly, like for my birthday, like I just want to have a nice mellow night at home and have my boyfriend cook me dinner while I drink wine by the fire and we watch a movie while he rubs my feet. And I'm like, that sounds perfect, but I'm like, that's kind of every night, you know? It's like I should do something different. And my boyfriend loves a good surprise. And I will say I wouldn't trust just anybody with like springing something on me. But I feel like in the past, he's done things that have been really surprising, but also very cool. And so I have to kind of like, maybe it's a control thing, you know, where you're just like, okay, let go and just like trust this person that they're going to make a cool plan and you're going to love it. But it's funny because I mean, I do love a good surprise, but it also gives me a lot of anxiety, especially we're in a new place, in a new town where there's still a lot of unknown. And I only have like a few favorite places, and I don't know if I want to be taken deep into the woods and on some weird adventure. I don't know. Maybe I'm not as spontaneous, but it reminds me of this one time I had this British boyfriend. You might have remembered him, Sarah, from back in the day. His name was Jason. And he always got me like fancy gift like experiences. You know, we went out for a couple years, so there was like many gifts throughout the years. And every time he'd get so excited about my birthday and he would build it up, you know, and want to surprise me. And I'd kind of have that anxiety and that anticipation. And then like the record would totally scratch the day of because he would give me something that was 100% on his bucket list. Like he would talk about it. Like this was something he wanted to do like all of his life. And then he would get it for me for my birthday. Like, for example, flying in a hot air balloon starting at 4 a.m. in the morning. It's like, was that something that I wanted to do? No, it was something that he wanted to do, but it was for my birthday. Like, that was definitely a surprise that I wouldn't have asked for, I guess. But yeah, thankfully my dude is creative and, you know, usually does a pretty good job. And I think at the end of the day, there will be some kind of festive something with some of my new friends up here, friends of the North, I like to call them. There's some good little spots. I kind of think that it would be fun to go play in the snow because there's snow east of here. We'll laugh a lot and I'll probably cry, but, you know, it'll be fun. It'll be fine. I would like to know from you guys out there, do you dread your birthday? Is your birthday a burden or bliss? I'd like to know what you like to do on your birthday. Do you like to do something boisterous or mellow at home? Please email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com.
Indeed, do. And Heather, I mean, your birthday is a month from now. Like, I don't think you should be worrying about it at all.
I'm not really worried. I just, you know me, Sarah. Like, I'm used to kind of having a party and having all my friends get together. And it's just, life is a little different now. So I think the anticipation of, I want to make sure, like, maybe there's a little dancing. Like, I liked it to be festive, you know? And I think if it isn't, I might be disappointed. But maybe I won't be. Maybe sitting by the fire will be just like the perfect birthday. I mean, maybe I really have grown up.
Well, and it's not about, I mean, wanting to have fun on your birthday doesn't mean you're not grown up. You and I just differ in this way.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like birthday parties are for children, but I also really enjoy other people relishing their birthdays.
Sure.
Like, I get it. I just don't, I'm missing the gene.
Yeah.
You know, I just want my car not to break down on my birthday. That's success. That is full success to me. But you know, it's everybody's different, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that you're going to have a really
It's
fun
gonna be
day.
great.
And the thing is like, you're alive. You know?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
whatever it is, hey, look at us. We made it.
Exactly. And it's like, it's all about low expectations. Okay. Like, I mean, let's be honest. If you keep your expectations low,
That's
then you
the
might
way
be
to get
pleasantly
by in life,
surprised.
really. Honestly, just like, yeah, why are you expecting all this stuff? You're only going to be disappointed. Expect nothing, and then see how much fun you have. You know? It's
Exactly.
great.
I guess like the bottom line is that I'm not as worried as I have been in the last few years. And I never was pre 40s. I think it's like the getting older thing that creates the anxiety. But I think I've come a long way. I think I've grown up, and I'm kind of looking forward to it no matter what. It'll be great. It'll be great. So
It will. Yeah. I mean, I had a birthday recently myself, and I don't even remember what I did. I think I like went to the like doctor or something, you know, probably.
yeah.
It was pre-surgery. It was like, you know, everyone's like, "Are you going to have so much fun?" And I'm like, no. But, you know, what was I supposed to do? Like
Yeah.
go to Disneyland or something? I don't know.
That you wouldn't do.
I no, but like I have no problem with Disneyland. Like that would be fine. But like I don't need to do that because it's like my birthday. It's like I just would do it if I wanted to.
Okay, I'm gonna surprise you. I'm gonna scoop you up one day. I'm just gonna roll up to your house and be like, "We're going to Disneyland," and you're gonna love it.
Universal Studios. Woo! Harry Potter World. Or
Actually,
whatever
it's kind of
called.
fun. I did go there. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I love all that stuff. I don't know.
And it's probably
you know?
not that crowded now, I would imagine. I mean, it's not as crowded as it used to be because of COVID.
I know a couple people who went to, you know how there's like the Disney people, and they're like
Oh,
full
yeah.
on like
The
year
hardcore
passes.
Disney people, yeah. They get
Disney,
married there.
like you go on Disney cruises. It's
God.
fascinating. Oh my God. It's honestly like I'm like I
is
don't.
fascinating.
Again, it's a gene I'm missing.
Me
but I'm
too.
like there are certain people and people that I mean it's a whole spectrum. You know, lots of I've worked with them, good friends. You know, where they're like unabashedly like, oh, I'm a Disney person.
Yeah, totally.
I love
I know those
all
people.
things Disney. Yeah, and it's like you go to Disneyland or Disney World, depending on where you live, whatever. And so, some of those folks had not gone to a theme park for a while because of COVID, and I talked to a few of them after Disneyland, in Southern California opened back up, and I was so curious, like, was it still fun? Like, what was different? And they're like, it's still fun. You're wearing a mask. I mean, you're kind of. I don't really know what the deal is now, but at least in the early days, it was still like they only let a certain amount of people in, and like if you were like I don't know, like a member, whatever. Yeah, like if you're on a certain like Disney totem pole of like you've been like a subscriber to the Disney experience for a number of time, like you actually you carried some weight as, to be able to get in, when other people couldn't. And I was just like, that is so like, it's so crazy to me that the pandemic, as difficult as it was, and is, continues to be for so many of us, like one of the things that certain people were like, I cannot wait till I can get back into Disneyland. Like, I got to get back into Disneyland.
I'm missing that gene too. I mean, I had some great times at Disneyland. Don't get me wrong. I remember going on Space Mountain like 18 times in a row with my dad, and it was so great. And, I'm sure I'd have a great time if I went back, because I really haven't been back as an adult. And people are like, you haven't? Oh my God, it's so fun. And I mean, I probably should do it at some point, but I don't know.
It's fun.
It's like,
I went as an adult, not recently, but like, I don't know, maybe about 15 years ago. But like as an adult, like me and a bunch of other adults went, and we were like, yeah, we're going to do Disneyland today. And it was really fun. It was. And you see it in very different eyes than you did when you're like, let's go on the Dumbo ride, when you're like 5. But yeah, I don't know. It's not really a thing I'm, clamoring to do.
no, me neither. But eventually I'll get there.
If you have been to Disneyland or Disney World or Disney Paris, or I don't know, there's like various Disney stuff around the globe, do let us know.
Yes, please.
We would love to know how your Disney experience has been. We would also like to shout out a few new patrons. And boy, are we happy when we get a new patron. But over the last, gosh, I guess month or so, Heather?
Yeah, probably yeah.
We've gotten quite a few. So we wanted to thank Linda Thompson, Avila Cranfield, Glenn Kawano, Evan Klein, and Jennifer Hamill, all new patrons. We're so glad to have you. And
We are. It's so exciting.
Some of you I know have already jumped into our Discord. Others don't. It's not required. But we certainly would love to have you there. If you'd like to, be part of the conversation in between shows, you can do that in our Discord discussion. If you are a patron at the $5 per month and up Patreon level, it's opt-in, so again, not required, but we'd love to have you. And thanks to everybody who's joined so far.
Yeah, we have quite a bumping crew in there. It's funny sometimes, it's like some people are active in there all the time because maybe they're like working from home and we chit chat like throughout the day, and then other people just pop on and off, and then sometimes you haven't heard for someone who's been with us for years. You haven't heard from them in a while and they pop on and you're like, yeah, what's up?
Yeah.
And it really is. I mean, there's got to be we have probably at least 40 people, maybe 50, on Discord, but not everybody's active at one time, and you can kind of be an observer. You don't have to chime in. You can use emojis or whatever your communication preference is.
You don't want to
is all
type.
good.
You can just send us, send us a laughing emoji. Anything anyone says, just send us a laughing emoji.
Exactly, and it's just a nice crew. If you want to meet some new people virtually, and I don't know, I enjoy it a lot.
I actually, I'm on quite a few Discord servers, just work based, and the Have Such a Good Day Discord server. I sometimes lurk and just I just catch up on what everybody else is saying. And so I'm like, oh, that's what Leah's doing today, etc. And I don't always have anything to share, but I sure like knowing that y'all are alive and well. It's really cool.
Oh, it's the
and
best.
it reminds Heather and I that we're not alone.
Exactly. And hopefully it does the same for you. I don't know, chatting with us. That's the point we hope to make, influence in your life of some kind. But yeah, you guys should also rate and review us on iTunes because it really helps others find the show. It does. Sarah and I are not the best marketers, as you can tell. But we try, we do as much as we can, but sometimes it's hard to get the show out into the world beyond our own little bubble. So, spread the word. That would be awesome. And email us anytime you like about anything under the sun.
Anything.
We love hearing from you.
Nothing is off the table.
Nope.
I mean, I probably regret that, but I don't think, it's just
we cover most subjects, I would say, from plungers to
Want to talk toilets?
apples?
I got a story. Speaking of email, we got an email from Jude Sturman. This is in response to last week's episode, which was all about Airbnb follies. And Jude said, I think you should start an Instagram account named See What's Left, with pictures of what people leave in your Airbnb refrigerator. And Jude, I think that's... I've talked about this before on the show, that it's like, as much as I love the idea of honestly going through with something like that, I worry that it's just like a privacy violation for people who are here. So it's there's only so much you can spill the tea before it's you're just sort of being mean, it's kind of between you and them, not the whole world. However, one of my absolute favorite things is opening up the fridge after the people have departed. Yeah. And being whoa, sometimes there's really large melons, no one's cut into them. I'm like, why are there so many melons in here? You bought a lot of melons. And I mean, maybe you ate some of them, but you still didn't eat 4.
That would be kind of a fun Instagram account. It's just picture after picture of just random stuff. Airbnb guests leave.
Yeah, alcoholic coffee. I've seen it all, Heather.
I mean, me too. Someone left a case of that hard kombucha, which I happily drank. That stuff's pretty good. And then the other day, my housekeeper knocked on my door and started to hand me some grass-fed beef. People are always leaving beef in the refrigerator. I don't know what it is. Maybe they're trying to barbecue and then they don't end up doing it. But I'm like, I'm not going to eat that.
Yeah,
you can have
during
it.
the summer, not so much as it's gotten colder, but during the summer, it's like one of the like I actually had to start telling people like, please don't throw out like a whole unopened thing of hot dogs and buns. I mean, like just like 30 of them.
Yeah.
Where it's like, whoa, you guys thought that you were gonna like, like grill some hot dogs. You obviously didn't, but like, don't throw those away. Like, I'll donate them.
Yeah, totally.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Or like sometimes it's like if someone if they leave, and I don't know, like what's like something that I took recently? Oh, it was like vegan feta cheese. Which is, so it wasn't actually cheese. It's like a vegan version of some feta,
like
but it
cashew
was
or something.
yeah. I think it actually was cashew based, and it was totally sealed. Nobody had opened it. I looked at the expirations, pretty good, and I was like, I'll try this, and I tried it, and it was pretty good. But and I never ever would have bought that on my own. I would have been like, who buys vegan feta cheese? But I'm like, it's pretty good. So that sometimes I feel like I reap the rewards of it.
Yeah, you learn new things. That's a great thing.
But most of the time I'm like, why did you leave all these melons in here?
I'm always going to have this nagging. I want to know why this woman wanted this plunger, but we may never know. We're going to have to go to the grave and not know the answers to these very strange mysteries. But you know what? We're just going to have to live with it.
We are going to have to live with it, and you're going to have to live with the fact that this show is coming to its conclusion.
It is, indeed.
But we will be back next week doing it all again.
Yay,
and we're happy to be back in the saddle every I was like every y'all. That's not a word. Everyone, all y'all. But so thanks for listening, and have such a good day. And until next week, I will remain Sarah.
And I will be Heather forever. Ciao.
Bye.